The first step, retraining your attention span. Start small. Set a timer for just 20 minutes. During that time, no switching, no multitasking, just one task. Your brain will resist at first, that's normal. You're pulling it out of chaos and into stillness. And stillness can feel almost unbearable in the beginning, but push through. Every minute you stay focused is like a mental rep, a small victory that teaches your brain, this is where we stay now. And just like physical training, consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need to work for 6 hours straight. You need to show up every day and practice depth. The goal isn't to become perfect, it's to become familiar. Familiar with the quiet, with the slowness, with the kind of mental space that lets real thought happen. Because here's the truth, deep focus feels strange at first, especially if you've spent years in a fragmented state. Your mind will look for exits. It'll crave noise. But if you stay long enough, it adjusts. And eventually, it starts to enjoy it. You'll start noticing it in the little things. You'll stop checking your phone out of boredom. You'll finish tasks without needing background noise. You'll find yourself absorbed in one thing for longer stretches, not because you're forcing it, but because your mind has learned how to stay. And that's when deep work stops being a struggle and starts becoming natural. It's not about being perfect, it's about practicing presence over and over until your brain remembers what it feels like to think deeply again. Something shifts when deep work becomes your new normal. You begin to trust your own mind again. You stop fearing the blank page or the quiet room or the slow hours where nothing flashy is happening because you finally understand that real progress doesn't look dramatic. It looks like stillness, like patience, like sitting with a single idea long enough to watch it evolve into something worth sharing. It's not always exciting, but it's always meaningful, and the more you return to that space, the more it feels like home. You start noticing how much noise the world really makes, how addicted everyone is to constant input. You'll see people scrolling not because they want to, but because they're afraid to stop. You'll notice how rare it is for someone to just sit, undistracted, and think. You used to be like that too. Maybe you still are sometimes. But now, you've seen the other side. You've felt what it's like to be immersed in one task so deeply that hours pass without stress, without guilt, without restlessness. That state isn't just productive, it's healing. Because deep work isn't just about getting more done, it's about reclaiming your mind from everything that has fractured it. From the pressure to always be available, from the fear of missing out, from the constant comparison that turns creativity into competition. When you work deeply, you work for yourself. You stop performing and start building. You stop chasing every trend and start listening to your own thoughts again. That clarity doesn't just help your work, it changes how you see everything. Your time begins to feel more valuable, not in a stressful, hustle-hard way, but in a sacred way. You protect your hours like they matter because they do. You realize how much life you've lost to distraction. And now that you've tasted focus again, you won't give it up so easily. You'll cancel things that don't align. You'll choose slowness over urgency. You'll create with more intention because you'll finally understand what your attention is worth. And here's the beautiful part. People will feel the difference in your work. Whether you're writing, designing, building, or speaking, deep focus leaves fingerprints. Your ideas will carry more weight. Your voice will feel more grounded. You'll produce less, but it will mean more. It will stick. Because deep work doesn't just polish your skills, it sharpens your identity. This is where everything starts to connect. Not in the busyness, not in the constant reacting, but in the quiet, focused, uninterrupted work that only you can do. Because it comes from a place only you can access. The truth is, we're not wired for deep work by default anymore. Not in this world. We're wired for speed, for alerts, for tiny dopamine hits that keep us busy but empty. And most people never stop long enough to notice the cost. They confuse movement with progress, input with intelligence, noise with importance. But if you've made it this far, you already feel that something needs to change. And that change doesn't start with some massive life overhaul. It starts with a quiet decision to protect your attention like it matters because it does. You won't always feel like focusing, that's okay. You won't always succeed in avoiding distraction, that's okay too. This isn't about perfection, it's about building a life that makes space for depth, slowly, daily, patiently. Every time you choose presence over noise, you're strengthening a part of your mind that the modern world wants to keep weak. And over time, it gets easier. The resistance fades. The mental chatter softens. You'll start to see things more clearly, not just in your work, but in yourself. You'll stop jumping between ideas and finally build something that matters. Not because you had more time, not because you became more talented, but because you finally gave your full attention to something long enough for it to grow. That's the gift of deep work. Not just higher productivity, not just better results, but peace. A kind of inner quiet that reminds you that you are more than a consumer, more than a reactor. You're a creator, a thinker, a builder of ideas. And your best thoughts, the ones that can change your life, won't arrive while you're multitasking. They'll arrive in the stillness you make space for. One task you give your full attention to, even when it feels uncomfortable. Because every time you go deep, you leave the shallow version of yourself behind. And the person who replaces them, that calm, focused, undistracted version of you, is the one who actually finishes what they start. The one who turns ideas into impact. And most importantly, the one who finally feels present in their own life. And that's something no algorithm, no app, no distraction in the world can ever give you.